Zoom conference. Thank you. All right, everyone. This is the State Expedited Accusations calendar. Today is February the 21st of 2023. This is the State Court of Fulton County, Georgia, and I am Judge Melanie Williams. This calendar is for those individuals who have been recently arrested, but the cases have already been formally accused and bound over to state court. All defendants, you have an absolute right to remain silent. Anything you say regarding the facts of your case can and will be used against you. You also have the right to an attorney at this proceeding today. All right. Ms. Bridgewater, what is my reset date?
It's March the 7th.
All right. Those who receive a surety or a cash bond today will be reset to the state all-purpose calendar on March the 7th. Those who receive a signature bond, whether through the jail or through pretrial, will be reset further notice. Before we begin, can Ms. Kim please be placed in the breakout with, it's position 7 in courtroom 2?
That's what I was just about to say, Judge. Good afternoon. For position 7, his attorney is here, so we're going to take them to courtroom 3 to do a breakout with the Spanish interpreter, and it's going to be you, Ms. Kim?
Yes, but then his attorney is here, so I guess his private attorney can.
Oh, yeah. Never mind. Yeah, disregard.
No problem.
Okay, so we're taking them to courtroom 3, and then they can do the breakout with the Spanish interpreter.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All
And
right.
let's start with position number 1, Mr. Alzier.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Alzier. Your case is 23 CR 0000994C. You're charged with DUI, less safe, and making an improper or erratic lane change on February the 19th. You understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Howard, can I have his history, please?
This is fourth adult arrest.
I can't hear you.
I said this is his 4th adult arrest.
Okay, that's better. Thank you.
Last arrest, he got a 2020 arrest out of Florida for burglary that was dismissed. He was arrested back in August in Forsyth County, hit and run, suspended license. Before that was 2021, possession of a knife or firearm during the commission, misdemeanor possession of marijuana, and possession of Xanax.
All right, thank you. Ms. Lewis, please proceed.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. This incident occurred on February 19th at 8465 Holcomb Bridge Road in Johns Creek. Officers were dispatched to an accident near the intersection of Holcomb Bridge Road and South Holcomb Bridge Way and met with the defendant. Officers noticed that his eyes were glassy and bloodshot, and they could smell the odor of marijuana coming from his person, and he could not keep his balance without leaning on the car. The defendant stated that a car came out of nowhere and applied the brakes suddenly, causing him to hit them from the rear. However, the officer spoke to the driver and passenger in the other vehicle, and they stated that the defendant crossed the lanes and sideswiped them. Officers then conducted a field sobriety test on defendant, who could not keep his balance or focus during the walk and turn portion of the test. The officers then asked the defendant to consent to a blood test, to which the defendant said no, and at which time he was arrested. Your Honor, because of the DUI as well as the damage to this vehicle, the state is recommending a $4,500 surety bond. That's $4,000 on count 1 and $500 on count 2. No alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and absolutely no driving while on bond. Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. White, is it your case?
It is, Judge. How are you?
Please proceed. Thank you. I'm well.
Yes, we're asking that Mr. Alzier be allowed to sign his own bond in this case. He does have a very good job with Timeview Trucking Company. He's been there for 2 years. He wasn't charged with no insurance, so I'm assuming he has insurance that would cover any damages if it is determined that the accident was his fault. There are no previous DUIs, no missed court dates. There's nothing to suggest that he would not come to court in his history. So we're asking that he be allowed to sign his own bond.
All right, thank you. At this time, defendant will receive a $2,500 surety bond, $2,000 on count 1, $500 on count 2. He's not to drive unless he has a valid license issued by the Georgia DDS, and he's to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition. Is there anything further?
Not from
All
the
right. All right, who do we, oh, and can courtroom, 3 be placed in the breakout with the interpreter, please?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, okay.
Maybe not.
All right, who do we have next?
Position 5, Lacy.
All right, good afternoon. Your case is 23. Good afternoon. Your case is 23 CR 0000996F. You're charged with having no insurance, failing to obey a traffic control sign, and having suspended registration with the offense date of February the 18th. Do you understand your rights?
I do.
All right, Mr. Howard, can I have his history?
Judge, I don't have that file.
I'm sorry.
I don't have that file.
Okay, we'll defer to Ms. Lewis. Ms. Lewis, please, if you have the history, and give us your bond recommendation as well.
Yes, Your Honor. I have a 2014 reckless driving, 2021 speeding, and then an FTA in 2022. So this incident occurred on February 18th at the intersection of Cascade and Donnelly Avenue. Officers noticed Mr. Lacy in front of them traveling, and he went through the red light at the intersection of Cascade and Donnelly. Officers then activated their emergency light and conducted a traffic stop at 590 Cascade Avenue. And once they explained to Mr. Lacy the reason of the stop and ran his record, they saw there was actually a warrant out for his arrest. Officers cited Lacy with failure to obey traffic control devices, suspended registration, and of course, the no valid insurance. Your Honor, the state is recommending a $750 surety bond. That's $250 on each count. No alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and no driving without the valid registration and insurance on the car. Nothing further.
All right, thank you. Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor, Mr. Lacy was actually here yesterday for another charge, which was totally different charge. And yet these were all together supposed to be handled yesterday. And yet, even though it was talked about at the Zoom hearing, however, it just didn't register at the court system. For some reason, the jail could not let him go because of these 3 charges that actually are here today. We don't know exactly why it had to be like this. And yet we believe that there was administrative mistakes. So we would like to request for a signature on bond for these 3 charges that it was supposed to be addressed yesterday, which he got already a signature on bond for. So instead of $750 surety bond, we asked for $750 a signature on bond through jail, so that way he can go and take care of his family members. He's been here for the last 6 years, and he has a good job as a self-employed warehouse. He graduated from college, Redford, Virginia University, and also he has a bachelor's degree. And Your Honor, he has a good mailing address. He's not a flight risk. So we would like to request for a signature on bond. Thank you.
All right, at this time, defendant will receive a $750 signature bond through the jail. He's not to drive unless he has proper insurance and registration. Additionally, he's to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition. Is there
Your
anything?
Honor, yes, Your Honor. I hate to interrupt. I just wanted to make sure it's clear on the record. This is not a Riverside issue. And I understand if the court's recommendation was not based on that, but I want to make it very clear. He was arrested February 18th at 11:17 p.m., which means 72 hours is not up until 11 o'clock tonight.
All right, thank you, Ms. Falk.
Thank you.
For that point of clarification, the signature bond will remain as set. All right. best of luck.
250 on each charge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, best of luck to you, sir. Who do we have next?
Position 9, Tucker. Oh, sorry.
All right, good afternoon. Your case is 23 CR 0000999Y. In this case, you're charged with battery family violence with the offense date of November the 6th. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Howard, can I have his history?
Sure. 13 total. Last arrest was back in June, Assault Ag Battery, 210 the 3rd. It appears to be open out of the cab camera. Hold on. On probation enforcement, possession of a firearm by person first offender probation, fleeing an officer, reckless driving, hit and run. That's 18 SC 158996. 2018, they gave him 1 year to serve and 4 years probation.
I'm sorry, is anybody else having trouble hearing Mr.
I
Edwards?
am.
It
Yeah,
sounds
it's
very
muzzled.
muffled.
You're going in and out. We're getting every fifth word, but I've been able to cobble most of it together. If you start from ag assault, ag battery, I think that's where it got choppy.
Yeah, this laptop acting up. Hold on.
And in the meantime, we're still waiting for a courtroom 3 to be put in with the interpreter. Please, if we could go ahead and do that, Miss Grace.
I am back,
You're
Your
back.
Honor.
Oh, you're
We're
back
back.
already. Okay, you're back. Thank you. Okay. Let's finish this case, then we'll do the interpretation case.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. We heard. Can you hear me? Try again, Mr. Howard.
You got open case in DeKalb County, service of threat, battery.
Went back out.
We can't hear you. We're gonna defer to the state. See if you maybe could log out, Mr. Howard, and come back to us. Ms. Bickerstaff, is this your
All
case?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
If you would give us the history, please.
Yes, so the defendant's criminal history is he has a receipt, possession, and transport of a firearm by a felon in 2018. There's also a hit and run in 2018, fleeing or attempt to elude a two dark tinted windows charge in 2018, and a willful obstruction in 2018, and a probation violation in 2021. This case occurred on November.
Oh, Ms. Bickerstaff, one question. So was the ag assault, aggravated assault battery, that didn't belong to this defendant? You're not seeing that?
Yes, that does belong to this defendant also, and that happened in 2022.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Please proceed.
This incident occurred on November 6th, 2022, against Miss Shaquina Penn. That's spelled SHAQUEENA Penn, PENN. This is where it happened at 446 Cleveland Avenue, Southeast Atlanta, Georgia. Officers responded to that location where the police were called 3 times. The first time was by Miss Penn. She stated to dispatch that the defendant was going to kill her. When the police arrived to the scene, they identified a woman with shorts on. When they observed that the woman noticed that the police had arrived, and she quickly returned to the apartment building. The police followed into the apartment building, and they saw a male that was shirtless in the breezeway. When they noticed each other, the gentleman went into an apartment unit. The police officers knocked on the door. They stated that they heard voices from the unit, which was C38. However, no one answered the apartment door. The officers then received another call from a Miss Ashley Smith. She is a third party. She called the police because she saw that Miss Penn posted on her social media site to call the police, and they gave the same address that was previously stated in apartment number C38. This is the same unit that the officers observed while at the previous call. During this call, the police came out. They knocked on that unit C38, and that is where the defendant answered the door and stated that he was Javante Tucker and that he was unsure why the police were there. Lastly, so the police left. Lastly, the third call was by Miss Penn. She called stating that she had just been assaulted. Ms. Penn stated that the defendant had a gun and was on house arrest, and at the time that he left the premises. Ms. Penn also stated to the police that the defendant had punched her and slapped her, and he also drug her throughout the house. And in that encounter, he pulled out 3 of her braids. Ms. Penn stated that the fight started because he saw something on her social media page, and the officers observed that she had bruising on her face, which included her lip. And then she also complained to the officers that she was having pain in her left hand. Your Honor, I would like to point out that the defendant currently has a case in DeKalb County, and that is the aggravated assault, aggravated battery, and cruelty to children case. And in that case, Ms. Penn is also the aggrieved. The defendant and Ms. Penn have 2 children together. And also, to go back to the open case in DeKalb County, the bond was set where the defendant was to have no further contact with Ms. Penn and to stay away from Ms. Penn. However, because of this ongoing case, those bond recommendations, conditions have been violated. And because of that, we are asking for a $5,000 cash bond, no further contact with Ms. Penn. Because they have children together, we're asking for a third-party contact if the defendant would like to see their children. And we're also asking for the defendant to stay away from the 446 Cleveland Avenue, Southeast Atlanta address. And we're asking for a 1-day anger awareness and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while on bond.
All right, thank you. Ms. Kim, is this your client? Oh, wait, let me sound for Ms. Penn. Ms. Penn, if you are present on the Zoom conference and wish to make a statement, this is your opportunity to do so. All right, hearing none, Ms. Kim, please proceed.
Yes, Mr. Tucker is 28 years old, and his story is totally different from what I just hear from.
I'm sorry.
Excuse
Excuse
Yes.
me, sorry, Ms. Kim, I don't mean to interrupt, but Mr. Tucker said that his attorney actually on, that's Adams Edwards.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Mr. Edwards, you represent this defendant?
Yes, I do. I tried to get in, but I couldn't. Okay.
No
Okay,
problem.
All right, Mr. Edwards, please, I'm sorry, Mr. Adams, please proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. I have talked to Ms. Penn several times. I do represent him on the DeKalb County case. She's indicated that she wants him out, wants contact with him. We'd ask, he is on bond now, pretty steep bond. We'd ask the bond be a good bond, not a cash bond.
All right, thank you. At this time, defendant will receive an $8,000 surety. Yeah,
I'm sorry. I would just like to state that for the record that the defendant was on an ankle monitor while on the bond for the bond conditions in DeKalb County. And also I would like to sound for Ms. Penn.
I sounded for Ms. Penn and she's not here.
Your Honor, sorry, I just want to add, because Ms. Bickerstaff omitted this, he's out on $150,000 surety bond on that aggravated battery, aggravated assault case.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Tucker, I see you waving your hand. The best thing for you to do is to speak to your attorney, okay?
Well, I was trying to speak because she's spoken on my address, so I was trying to speak on it.
I don't think you should do that. Are you trying to clarify the address that's the incorrect address?
Yes, all of it, bro. Yes.
Mr. Adams, do you have any information regarding the address?
I do not.
Oh, Miss Grace, will you please let Mr. Toussaint Howard in? He's waiting to be let into the Zoom conference. Okay, so what is the correct address? Please just give me the address, Mr. Tucker. Do not say anything else about your case.
445 Cleveland Avenue, apartment C38.
Okay, so it should be 5, not 6.
Yes.
All right. All right, anything else before I make my decision from either party, state or defense?
No, yeah.
And we have 455 Cleveland Avenue is where the victim also resides, which he has a stay away order from.
That's my address for my house arrest.
The address that we heard earlier, I think was 446. So is the correct address 445, Ms. Falk?
Okay, so the report has 455 Cleveland Avenue and 445 Cleveland Avenue. Both addresses are saying Colony Creek Apartments.
That's not her
Okay.
address. That's my address. Her address is 2051 Flex Show. I live before, that's where my house arrest is, 445. She came to my address.
All right. So what we'll do is to clarify that point, we'll have him return one time with law enforcement to ascertain who actually lives there. All right. In light of the information presented by the state, I am going to accept the state's recommendation and he will receive a $5,000 cash bond. He's to have no contact with Miss Penn and stay away from the address on Cleveland Avenue. If Miss Penn resides there, he can return with law enforcement to make that determination. If she's no longer there, he can return to that address. Otherwise, he must stay away. He is further to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition of that cash bond, and he will be reset to the state all-purpose calendar on March the 7th of 2022. Is there anything further?
No, Your Honor.
No, y'all.
All
I'm
right,
sorry, Judge. What is the bond amount again?
5,000 cash. All right, Ms. Adams, does that conclude your business before the court
It does,
today?
Your Honor. Would you reconsider the cash? I'm not sure they can make that.
I will not, it will remain at that for now, but he'll be reset to that March 7th calendar whereby bond can be revisited if he can't. All right?
Okay, thank you.
All right, best of luck to him and to you. You can be excused, Mr. Adams. All
Thank
right,
you.
who do we have
Y'all,
next?
we have position number 7, Spanish interpreter position.
All right, Madam Interpreter, will you please raise your right hand? I'm sorry, first, please state your name for the record.
My name is Adriana Chansey.
Ms. Chansey, do you swear and affirm that today you will make an accurate translation from Spanish to English, English to Spanish to the best of your skill, knowledge, and ability?
I do, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, good afternoon. Are you Maximo Martinez?
Buenas tardes, ¿es usted Máximo Martínez?
Sí.
Yes.
Mr. Martinez, your case is 23 CR 0010000J.
Su número de caso es 23 CR 01000J, señor Martínez.
In this case, you're charged with battery family violence.
En este caso, usted está acusado por golpes y lesiones, violencia familiar,
With the offense date of November the 20th, 2022.
y ocurrido este delito el 20 de noviembre del 2022.
Let me explain your rights to you.
Déjeme explicarle sus derechos constitucionales.
You have an absolute right to remain silent. Anything you say regarding the facts of your case can and will be used against you.
Usted tiene el derecho a guardar silencio. Todo lo que usted diga puede y va a ser usado en su contra.
You also have a right to an attorney today.
También tiene derecho a ser representado por un abogado hoy.
This proceeding is being broadcast over the internet as a live stream. It's also being recorded.
Este proceso está publicado por la internet públicamente y también está siendo grabado.
Do you understand your rights and how I'm conducting this hearing?
¿Usted entiende que tiene esos derechos y cómo yo estoy llevando a cabo esta sesión?
Yes or no?
¿Entiende? Yes.
All right, Mr. Howard, can I have the history, please?
Can you hear
Señor
me?
Harvard, por favor, ¿puedo tener los antecedentes?
Can you hear me?
Yes, much better.
All right. Third arrest. He was arrested 2 days ago in Gwinnett for giving false names.
Es el tercer arresto. Hace 2 días atrás, él fue arrestado en Gwinnett por dar un nombre falso.
2021, driving without a valid license conviction.
Y también una convicción en el 2021 por manejar sin licencia.
That's it.
Eso es todo.
All right, Ms. Bickerstaff.
Yes, as you already know, Your Honor, this happened on November 20th, 2022. Location is 837 G Roswell Creek Lane in Roswell, Georgia, and it's against Miss Betsy, and that's spelled B as in boy, ETZY Aguilar, which is spelled A as in apple, NGUILAR dash Peregrino. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. And that's PEREGRINO.
Como dijo usted, este incidente ocurrió el 20 de noviembre del 2022 en la dirección 8376 de Roswell Creek Lane en Roswell, Georgia, y la víctima es Betsy Aguilar Peregrino.
Officers responded to the location where Miss Pellegrino called law enforcement.
Los policías respondieron y fueron al lugar y donde la señora Peregrino había llamado a la fuerza del orden.
Because the defendant punched Miss Pellegrino in the face and head.
Porque el acusado la abofeteó a la señora en la cara y la golpeó.
Which resulted in redness and a swollen lip and broken skin on her lip.
Lo que resultó en el enrojecimiento y también le partió un labio.
And she had swelling around her face area.
Oh, y también olvidé decirle que había hinchazón y, I'm sorry, in what area, madam?
Her face, just she had swelling in her face.
Y también presentó en parte de sus caras inflamación.
The defendant and Miss Pellegrino shared 2 children together.
El acusado y la señora Peregrino tienen 2 hijos juntos.
The state is asking for a $3,000 surety bond.
Y la fiscalía pide una fianza bajo garantía de $3,000.
No further contact with the victim.
Que se prohíbe el contacto con la víctima.
Because they have children together, we're asking for a third-party contact for the kids.
Y debido a que tienen hijos juntos, solicitamos que se haga el contacto con los hijos a través de una tercera parte.
A stay away order at the address 837 G Roswell Creek Lane.
Y que se mantenga distanciado de la dirección 837G Roswell Creek Lane.
We're also asking for a 1-day anger awareness course and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while on bond.
Y pedimos que tome una clase sobre el manejo de la ira y también que quede prohibido el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas mientras esté libre bajo fianza.
And that's all. And the state would like to sound for Ms. Peregrino.
Eso es todo de parte de la fiscalía y quisiéramos llamar a ver si está en la plataforma la señora Peregrino.
All right, I'm sounding for Miss Betsy Aguilar Peregrino.
Señora Betsy Aguilar Peregrino, ¿está usted presente?
She's in the other courtroom, Your Honor, I believe.
She
Creo
is,
que está en
all
la
right.
otra sala.
She's in the gallery.
Está en la galería.
Stand on the wall for me. Stand by the great chair, please. On this side, this side. No, sit, just stand on.
Do you wish to make a statement?
¿Usted quiere hacer alguna declaración?
No, solo quiero decir que él es buen papá, él Del tiempo que estuve con él, él siempre me
Wait,
trató bien.
I don't want her to say too much. Just ask if she wants to make a statement.
She said, not really, just to say that he was always a good dad.
Okay, no. If she wants to make any type of statement, I have to swear her in.
Si usted quiere decir algo, o sea, otorgar una declaración, la jueza la tiene que juramentar. ¿Está bien? Ok.
So she wishes to make a statement?
Entonces, ¿quiere declarar algo?
No, yo solo quiero quitar los cargos.
No, I just want to take the charges out.
Okay, all right.
Be
We'll proceed.
removed. I'm sorry.
All right, no, that's okay. All right. Hearing that she does not wish to make a statement, counsel, please enter your appearance and please give me your recommendation for bond.
Yes,
Sí,
Your Honor.
dado que la señora no quiso dar una declaración, por favor, señor abogado, deme su presentación.
I am Nick Kasatkin here for Mr. Martinez. While we don't dispute the amount of the bond with the state, we would ask that he be allowed to sign his name to the bond, to have a signature bond. He has
One
spent-
moment, sir. Mi nombre es el señor Sod y estoy aquí representando al señor Martínez y no discutimos el monto de la fianza, pero sí la forma en que se haga en fianza bajo firma en lugar de garantía.
He has resided in Georgia for 6.5 years. He currently resides with his brother and his sister. He does have 2 children with the victim. They're also here in Georgia. He works regularly. He's a contractor. He has been working in that position for 4 years.
One moment,
He has-
please. Él ha estado aquí en Georgia por 6 años y medio y vive con el hermano ahora y con la hermana. Tienen 2 hijos juntos que viven aquí y él ha estado trabajando como contratista durante 4 años. Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
With his prior case, the no license case, he has no FTAs, he has no problems with showing up to court. And the purpose of bond is to secure the defendant's appearance. And I think if he was allowed to sign his bond, we can be sure that he will appear in court.
Él, con respecto al cargo anterior por manejar sin licencia válida, él no hay antecedentes de incumplimiento, por eso no está a riesgo de que él no se vaya a presentar, por eso queremos hacer esa petición acerca de la fianza.
As far as the stay away, I think that would be appropriate, but as far as the 1-day anger management, I think it'll be best reserved with the ultimate case's disposition as part of the sentence, perhaps.
Con lo que respecta al día de manejo de la ira, creo que sería mejor que se haga como parte de la sentencia de los casos.
So, to sum it up, we were just asking for a $3,000 signature bond, Your Honor.
O sea, en general, la petición es de una fianza de $3,000 bajo firma, su señoría.
All right, defendant will receive a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services. He is to take the 1-day anger awareness course and have no contact with the alleged victim. In this case, he can arrange to see his children by coordinating with a third party. And he is to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons and stay away from the address on Roswell Creek. I'm sorry, Miss, did you?
You're fine, I got it, thank
Okay.
you.
Right.
Sí, no, en realidad la fianza es de $3,000 y bajo firma a través de los servicios previos al juicio. Él debe tomar una clase de manejo de la ira, no tener más contacto con la víctima y para poder contactarse con los hijos se debe determinar una tercera parte que los transporte. Queda prohibido el uso de drogas, armas y alcohol y él debe mantenerse distanciado del domicilio en Roswell, Georgia.
Thank you,
Is
Your
there
Honor.
anything further from either party?
¿Algo más de alguna de las partes?
No, Your Honor.
No, su señoría.
Further.
So let him know he got to report for orientation, and they'll give him the sheet before he get released.
Usted va a recibir un formulario para la orientación y le van a dar una hoja para que usted llene.
All right. Best of luck to you, Mr. Martinez. That concludes your case.
Le deseo la mejor de la suerte, señor Martínez. Esto termina su caso.
Counsel, does that conclude your business before the court today?
It does, Your Honor. May I be excused?
You may. Have a great rest of your afternoon.
Thank you. You too.
May the interpreter be excused, Your Honor?
Yes, please sound before you go to make sure no one else needs your assistance.
Yes, ma'am. ¿Hay alguien más que necesite comunicarse con la señora jueza con la ayuda de un intérprete en español? Por favor, levante su mano o prenda la cámara.
All right.
Yeah.
You can
Thank
be
you,
excused.
Your
Have
Honor.
a great
Have a good day.
afternoon.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, who do we have next?
Position A, Plum.
All right, Mr. Plum, your case is 23 CR 0000998C. You're charged with DUI, less safe, unsafe vehicle equipment, and suspended registration, each with the offense date of February the 20th. You understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you, Mr. Howard.
It's his third arrest. He got a 2013 possession of alcohol below legal age. He got PTI for that. 2017 DUI conviction. That's it.
All right, thank you. Ms. Bickerstaff?
Yes, Your Honor. This case, as you know, occurred on February 20th, 2023 at between Atlanta Street and Marietta Highway in Roswell, Georgia, where the officers observed the defendant traveling in his vehicle while having a flat passenger side tire. Officers approached the vehicle where they smelled a strong odor of alcohol from the defendant, and the officer also observed the defendant to having slurred speech and confusion. The defendant then consented to a field sobriety test. The officers noted that the defendant was visibly unsteady as he swayed back and forth during their conversation. The officers noted that the defendant was unable to demonstrate the field sobriety walking assessment properly, and it took them several times to explain the instructions to the defendant. Also, the officers noted that the defendant was unable to perform the one-legged standing assessment without losing his balance. The defendant stated to the officers that he had hit a curb and that he did not notice that he had a flat tire until the ride became bumpy for him while driving. Because the defendant has had a DUI in the past, and he has a charge of furnishing alcohol to a minor before, the state is asking for a $6,000 surety bond, $5,000 for the DUI, $500 for the unsafe equipment, and $500 for the suspended registration. We are also asking for no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while on bond, and for the defendant not to drive.
All right, Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Plum is 29 years old. He was born and raised here in Georgia, so he has a strong ties to the community. He's gainfully employed at Top Software as a salesperson, and he graduated from high school, and he's making decent income, so he will not be needing public defender services after the bond hearing. Your Honor, I just wanted to clarify about when I saw at Odyssey, there were 4 charges, including the last one, reckless driving, which didn't have any case number. We want to make sure that one has an NOD filed. Otherwise, we don't want him to come back tomorrow after we take care of 3 other charges because that one is not taken care of. So we would like to have a clarification about that one. And For DUI less safe, we would like to request for a signature on bond. And yet, if Your Honor is not inclined to give him a signature on bond because of the past histories, we would like to request for maximum $1,000 good bond. And for those suspended registration and unsafe vehicle, which he does not own any of those. So he's not responsible for those cars, that he was not aware that that was not registered nor unsafe. So we would like to request for signature on bond for those charges, Your Honor. And that's about it. Thank you.
Ms. Bickerstaff, do you have that information as to whether the reckless driving was NOD'd?
Yes, it should have been NOD'd. I will need to double check with our office on it, okay?
All right.
Right,
At
thank
this time, defendant will receive a $4,000 split bond. It'll be a $3,000 surety on the DUI and $500 for each remaining count signature bond through the jail. He is not to drive without a valid license issued by the Georgia DDS, and he's to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Is there anything further?
Your Honor, the charge was NOD. The NOD was sent to jail active records, Mr. Wilburn, Derek Howard, and Michael Jordan.
Thank you, Ms. Falk, for that clarification. I appreciate that.
Thank
All
you.
right, Mr. Plum, that concludes your case. Is there anything further from either party?
No, ma'am.
All right, best of luck to you. Who do we have next?
Position 6, Love.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Love. Your case is 23 CR 0009997G. In this case, you're charged with battery family violence with the offense date of the 20th of February. Do you understand your rights? Is that a yes? Please say yes if you do.
Yes, ma'am. My papers say full battery.
Okay. Mr. Howard, please proceed.
This is 8th arrest. As far as violence, he had a 06 CWAC. It was reduced to ag assault conviction. He got drug convictions. That's all, pretty much. In 2012, sale of marijuana, possession of a Schedule 1 or 2 controlled substance with intent, another sale of marijuana.
Nothing violent since 06. Okay, thank you. Ms. Lewis?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred on February 20th at 750 Florigan Lane in South Fulton. Officers were dispatched to this location in reference to a fight call and met with Mr. Love. Mr. Love stated that he and his wife, Kiana Love, and that is spelled Qiana, had a disagreement about him going into work late, which turned physical. Mrs. Love stated that she was lying in bed when the defendant aggressively snatched the cover off her while she was attempting to avoid contact from him. She also stated that the defendant snatched her phone away from her, causing her fingernails to break and bleed. Ms. Love did admit to the officers that there was a scuffle going on in the house and they both were fighting one another. We were able to speak to Ms. Love this morning, and she stated that she does not plan to arrive back or to go back to that house because the defendant's name is on the deed of the house and she doesn't want to stay there anymore. Your Honor, we are concerned about influence to this witness because the defendant has called from the jail. He was very argumentative when he did speak with her, trying to convince her to go back to the house. He refused to tell her why he was so adamant to go back to the house, but he wants her to go back home, but she does not want to go back there. Also, the witness states there is a history of domestic violence between the two. It's just never been reported. Your Honor, for this reason, the state is recommending a $4,000 surety bond, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and no further contact. And I do believe Ms. Love is on the call, so at the appropriate time, we'd like to sound for her, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Love, I see you present on the Zoom conference. If you'd like to make a statement, I need you to turn your camera on so I can swear you in. However, you're not required to make a statement if you don't wish to. Do you wish to make a statement? Ms. Love? All right, we'll move forward. If you wait,
I can't figure out how to turn my camera on either.
Okay, you do not wish to make a statement?
Uh-oh, can you hear me?
You're breaking up very badly. If you wish to make a statement, we just need to turn the camera on. I heard you say that you're having some
Can you hear
trouble with
me?
that. Yes, I can hear you. If you, do you wish to make a statement?
No, I don't wish to make a statement.
All right, thank you. Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Love is 40 years old. He was born and raised here in Georgia. He has a strong ties to the community, and he is gainfully employed at Clorox as a trucks. Actually, he uploads the trucks. He's a forklift operator, Your Honor. He graduated from high school. He has an associate degree from Gordon College, and he has very good mailing address. Indeed, they live together. They're married couples, Your Honor. They have been married about 5 years. And of course, it is husband and wife. There was not a major fight. And yet, it was indeed, he was the one who called the police because Miss Love was very upset, and he did not want to have cause any more drama. So he wanted the police.
No. Miss Love? No, Miss Love, your opportunity to speak. You did not wish to make a statement. Please keep going, Miss Kim.
Yes, Your Honor. I believe Miss Kwana Love is not at the incident location, 750 Florigan Lane, which is a separate property for him. He bought the house in his name prior to the marriage, and she is currently at her sister's house, which is 591 Carton Point Drive. Totally different address. So I think it is okay for my client to return home. When I was talking to Miss Love this afternoon, she indicated that she wanted to have no further violent contact. She was not afraid of him. She didn't mind for him to return home. And yet, I would like to defer no further violent contact to the judge. Either way, my client is willing to comply, no matter what it is. And Your Honor, my client was found out that his 14 years old son was just diagnosed with lupus, which it can be very serious. And he does have to take his son to a doctor to get appropriate medical attention. So we would like to request for signature on bond for this case so he can return and take care of him. Indeed, Ms. Puena Love also got citation for the same charge because the police could not figure out who was the first aggressor. It was my client who called the police. It was my client's shirt that was ripped off, and he was not a first aggressor, and yet he did not want his wife to go to jail. So he volunteered to come to the jail instead of his wife.
All right. I'm sorry, Ms. Kim, please, did I cut you off? You can continue, Ms. Kim.
A little bit. I just wanted to ask you a signature on bond. If not, maximum $1,000 good bond. Thank you.
All right. At this time, defendant will receive $1,000 surety bond. He is to have no further contact with the alleged victim, Ms. Love. He can arrange any transport of it. Do they have children together? That part wasn't clear.
That 14 years old son is his biological son, and among them, they don't have any child together.
Okay, so there's no need for a transport. The state nor the defense have requested a stay away. I'm assuming that's because we have information regarding separate addresses, but the no contact will remain in place. Furthermore, he's to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition. Is there anything further?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. Best of luck to you, Mr. Love. The best thing to do is to speak to Ms. Kim. I don't want you to interfere with your right to remain silent.
I'll give you a call, Mr. Love.
You can mask up for me.
The officers took my keys and I can't get in my house. My wife has the garage open.
Okay, the best thing for you, I don't want you to say something by mistake. Will you give Ms. Kim a call? Ms. Kim, will you give him a call?
I'll be happy to call him. Thank you.
All right. Best of luck to you, Mr. Love. All right, who do we have next?
Position 4, Gerard.
All right, Mr. Gerard, your case is 23 CR 0000977B. You're charged with loitering and prowling with the offense date of February the 19th. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Howard?
He got history out of New Jersey and Arkansas. Last arrest was back in November out of Brookhaven, failure to appear. June, entering auto, giving false name. Those were not presented to grand jury. Simple battery conviction from November 2021. Hold on. I'm gonna go to Arkansas next.
Okay.
Last arrest in Arkansas was 2021, contempt of court, failure to comply. 2020 battery, 3rd degree. 2020 fleeing, terroristic threats, 1st degree. You got another fleeing that was a conviction and failure to appear. 2018 arrest, I'm sorry. Resisting arrest, obstructing governmental operations conviction from 2018. That was out of Arkansas. His last
think
arrest.
That's okay. That's good. Thank you. Ms. Lewis?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred on February 19th at 3065 Dale Drive. Officers responded to a prowler call and met with the owner of the house, Mr. Joel Lawrence. Mr. Lawrence stated that he spotted Gerard on his Ring camera walking into his driveway and looking into his vehicle. Your Honor, this defendant currently has a $2,000 surety bond, and because of his history of entering automobiles, it appeared he was attempting to do the same. The state is recommending that the bond stay as set. Also, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and to stay away from the 3065 Dale Drive address. Nothing further.
All right, thank you. Mr. White?
Judge, walking up and looking into somebody's car is not illegal. We asked that he be allowed to sign his own bond. Mr. Gerard is employed. He has 2 separate jobs, a good address, ties to the community, and based on the fact that just walking up and looking into a car is not illegal, we'd ask that he be allowed to sign his own bond.
All right. Defendant will receive $1,000 surety bond. He's to stay away from the address on Dale Drive, and he's to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition. Is there anything further?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. Best of luck to you, Mr. Gerard. Who do we have next?
District 2, Baker.
All right. Good afternoon, Mr. Baker. Your case is 23 CR 0009995F. You're charged with 1 count of battery family violence and 1 count of battery with the offense date of February the 20th. You understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Mr. Howard?
This is 2nd arrest. Last was 2013 burglary in the 1st degree. It was amended to trespass. He got first offender for that in 2014.
Okay. All right, Ms. Lewis?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred on February 20th at 321 Auburn Point. Officers responded to a dispute call at this location and spoke with Mr. Baker. Mr. Baker stated that he and his ex-girlfriend, Ms. Jackson, were in an argument that turned physical. We were able to speak with Ms. Baker, with Ms. Jackson this morning, and she stated that Mr. Baker came over to the house and she didn't want to speak with him, which caused the defendant to become upset. Ms. Jackson stated that she went back into their home and was attempting to close the door when Mr. Baker stuck his foot in the door, preventing her from closing it. Once inside, he began striking her several times. Her sister, Tanika Jackson, and that's spelled Taneka, tried to jump in to intervene and protect her sister when Baker started hitting her as well. Officers did observe injuries to both Raven and Tanika Jackson. Your Honor, the victim states that she has filed a TPO against this person or the defendant, and she's in fear of him and wants no contact and wants him to stay away. The state is recommending a $6,000 surety bond. That's $3,000 on each count. No further contact with either victim. 1 day of anger awareness, to stay away from that location, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Nothing further.
All right, I'm going to sound for Ms. Jackson at this time. Ms. Jackson, if you're present and wish to make a statement, this is your opportunity to do so. You are not required to make a statement, however, if you wish not to.
I am.
All right, please raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth to the best of your knowledge and under the penalty of perjury?
Yes.
All right, what the court is most concerned with is whether you wish to have contact with the defendant?
No.
All right, is there anything else you'd like to tell the court at this time?
I just had I don't know if I can ask a question or not because I was able to look at his charges and it did say first offense. I understand that it's like the first offense of him being actually charged, but we were in court, in Fulton County Court on September, and he was ordered to have like no violent contact with me, because he bust my window or whatever. And I just didn't know how that process worked with it being like saying that it's the first offense.
All right, the best thing to do is to contact the victim advocate at the office. Perhaps a member of the state can give her that information. All right, but thank you for coming to court and making that statement. I do appreciate that. All right,
Okay,
Mr. White, will you please proceed?
Yes, Your Honor. First of all, Mr. Baker has a very different view of the events. He was asked to come over to see the alleged victim, to bring her a food card. And upon arrival, he was attacked by the alleged victim and her sister. He then went to the leasing office, calling 911 the whole time, couldn't get in touch with anyone, and then asked them to help. But he was attempting to call the police the entire time. He's an employee of the city of Atlanta, has been employed with the city of Atlanta as an ESW for over 5 years now. He has a solid job. One other arrest, which ended up in a criminal trespass conviction a decade ago. We'd ask that he be allowed to sign his own bond.
All right, thank you. At this time, defendant will receive a $3,000 surety bond. It's $2,000 for count 1, $1,000 for count 2. He's to have no contact with either R. Jackson or T. Jackson and stay away from the incident location. Ms. Lewis, can I have the incident location again?
Yes, Your Honor. Let me pull that back up.
I'll make sure I have it correct.
321 Auburn Point.
321 Auburn Point. And moreover, he's to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition. Is there anything further?
Is it 321 or 325?
321.
I'm sorry, it's actually 325.
Oh,
That's my apartment
That's
number
what I thought. Okay.
building.
All right. Anything further from the state of defense?
nothing further, Your Honor.
All right.
Nothing,
Best
Judge.
of luck. Best of luck. Mr. Baker, I see you raising your hand. The best thing for you to do is speak to Mr. White. If you have a very limited question about the bond, the court will hear it. What is your concern, Mr. Baker?
Well, actually, and I apologize, it actually wasn't a question about the bond. I just wanted to add something, add a comment onto, and I do understand.
No, I
I
don't
would
want
do
you to
that.
comment. That will interfere with your right to remain silent and make it easier for you to get representation. The state's listening, and you don't know what you might say that ends up being used against you, all right? All right, best of luck to you, Mr. Baker. That will conclude your case at this time.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, who do we have next?
Judge, I have a quick announcement for position 3. They waived their appearance and we are completed here in courtroom 2.
All right, have a great afternoon. Take care.
Thank you. You do the same.
All right, we will now take up the case of 23 CR 0000975A, the case of John Earl Fowler, in which he's charged with criminal trespass, willful obstruction, giving false name, and another offense that I will not sound. Each with the offense date of February the 19th. Mr. Howard, can I please have the history for the record?
40 total. Last arrest was in January, trespass. November, trespass. March of last year, failure to appear. He got an open case in Superior Court for theft by receiving and obstruction. It's 23 SC 185832. The obstruction and trespass is open in state court, 21 CR 0021228. And he got a violent conviction. Let me see. Simple battery criminal trespass 2017 out of Jonesboro, along with an obstruction.
All
Most
right,
of his history is trespass and shoplifting.
that's sufficient. Ms. Lewis?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred February 19, 2023 at 141 Piedmont Avenue, which are some of the residences belonging to Georgia State University. Mr. Fowler entered into the campus, the residential housing there, and slapped Alana Graham. Her first name is Aulona Graham Sims, who's a student at this location, slapped her on the buttocks. It's to note that he already has a prior criminal trespass from all GSU properties, which was effective December 7th, 2022, set to expire December 7th, 2024 for urinating on the school building. When officers approached Mr. Fowler, he took off running and led them on a 6-block foot chase from Piedmont Avenue to Auburn Avenue to Butler Street and finally to Bell Street, where he was apprehended. Once apprehended, he told the officers that his name was John Flowers and that his birth date was June 8th, 85, when actually his name is John Fowler and his date of birth is July 18th, 1985. Your Honor, the state is recommending a $5,000 surety bond. That is $1,000 for count 1, $3,000 for count 2, and $500 for both count 3 and 4. No alcohol, drugs, or weapons. No further contact with the victim, and to stay away from all Georgia State property.
All right, thank you. Mr. White?
Your Honor, Mr. Fowler would not be able to make any bond. He understands that he does not, is unlikely to qualify for a signature bond, but we do believe there are mental health issues. And I think whatever that next step needs to be, mental health evaluation should probably be on the radar.
Are you requesting one at this time?
Judge, I'm just kind of filling in for this court. I'm not sure how we
Okay.
do it first appearance. I know that they have a track B that they do at SAP. I don't know if that starts here or there, but yes, if we can get it started now, then let's go
We
with
probably
that.
need to go into a breakout. If I could be placed in a breakout with Mr. White, Ms. Kim, Ms. Falk, and Ms. Lewis, please.
Your Honor, can we also have Ms. Bickerstaff in there since she is new to our office? I'd like her to see the breakout.
That's fine. Yes.
Thank you.
This is the last case, right?
It is. Take
Okay.
care, Mr. Howard.
Bye.
Ms. Grace, will you place us in the breakout, please?
I'm gonna see what's going on. Just a moment.
Thank you, Ms. Bridgewater. All right, we're back on the record in the case of Mr. John Earl Fowler. Mr. Fowler will receive a $4,000 good bond, broken down 1,000, count 1, 2,000, count 2, and 500 on the remaining counts. He is to stay away from Georgia State University buildings in its entirety, and he is to have no contact with the alleged victim in this case. Additionally, he is to undergo evaluations as discussed in breakout, have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and he'll be reset to a calendar on March the 9th. Is there anything further? All right, I believe that completes our entire calendar. Ms. Bridgewater, will you please review?
Absolutely. Once again, the reset date for the SAP calendar is March the 7th. Position number 1 is going to the SAP calendar with a total $2,500 good bond. Position 2 is going to the SAP calendar with a total $3,000 good bond. Position 3 is going to be reset to the competency calendar for March the 9th with a total $4,000 good bond. Position 4, SAP calendar with a $1,000 good bond. Position 5, reset further notice with a total $750 SOB through the jail. Position 6, SAP calendar with a $1,000 good bond. Position 7, reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through pretrial per judge. Reset further notice, okay? Position 8, reset to the SAP calendar with a total $4,000 split bond. And position number 9 is going to the SAP calendar with a $5,000 cash bond. Are there any questions, comments, or otherwise? Nope. Okay, that's it. Whew. You all have a good one.
All right, that completes the whole
You
calendar.
too.
We'll be in recess until tomorrow's SCA. Everyone take care. Have a good day.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.